What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Wealth Not Wait podcast. This is episode 2. Today, we are here, of course, with myself, the host, as always, Joseph Anthony Coizza Jr. And also... Restart. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Wealth Not Wait podcast. Second episode today. I am here, of course. I am your host, Joseph Coizza. Second episode, we have another very special guest. Sir, please introduce yourself.
Chris Coizza, his brother.
Yes, he is my brother. Now, something I want to talk about today, and everybody's probably wondering, why do you have this kid on? We already had Dad on. I know that's coming out at a later date, and I'm sure everybody's excited to see that one. Today,
It's probably out by now.
Yeah, by now, of course, it is out. But I'm saying by the time we're recording it.
Yeah.
Today, we wanted to get a different kind of point of view, and talking from, because what grade are you in now?
No, 10th.
You're in 10th grade. So, from a high schooler's point of view, this is something I am very vocal, very talking about a lot, is that school does not prepare you for just life in general or for a lot of other things. Entrepreneurial-wise, of course. I mean, school fundamentally is good. But there's definitely things that need to be worked on if you're an entrepreneur or just, general life skills in general. So, just tell us a little bit about yourself, sir, some things that you like, some things that you're interested in, and then anything that you would find important about, finance or health. Just kind of talk about yourself or anything that you really know about topics.
Well, some things about me. Huge baseball person. Love that. Big into movies, directing. Stuff they teach us in school about finances. I know I don't really have any classes. I don't have economics and stuff like that, but nothing really that they've said to us about stocks. I never heard a thing about that. And with health, you have Hope, of course, as a class, and in gym. But Hope, they just kind of give you assignments, and they don't really do too much. They say, how do you feel about this? Give you a fitness log, and it's just the truth system. So if you lie on it, you can. They still give you an A for it, even if you're just be believable about it. But that's really much that they all kind of do in school.
What kind of hobbies do you have? I know you enjoy baseball, you said. You're a very outdoorsy kind of person. He's definitely the outdoorsy kind of person in the family. What else do you like? Like what?
I like, hang out with my friends, playing video games, stuff like that.
Just, basic normal teen stuff, right?
Just a pastime for me and my friends.
Which is fair. So now, at this point in your life, I understand you're going into 10th grade. What is kind of like your life ambitions or your goals? Do you have anything that you see potentially out of high school that you would like to do?
I would love to do baseball, but if that doesn't, either work out well, I would love to do directing. Because I love writing movies and stuff like that.
Right. Are you a DC or Marvel fan?
I'm a DC fan. 100%.
DC fan. How do you feel about Marvel movies?
I like Marvel movies, but, I don't like hearing the fact of Marvel being better than DC. I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe they're movies, but that's about it.
There's definitely some movies, Infinity War and Game and whatnot.
Yeah.
But now, as far as just kind of general life stuff, now that you're at that age where you'll be getting license, you're able to drive kind of stuff, you'll be getting to that age at least. What is now your plans for the future? What are you thinking about doing as far as college wise? Do you have any of that worked out? Because I know they're gonna start drilling that out on you pretty soon.
Yeah, they hit hard with that college stuff, being like, oh, get prepared for college, get ready for college. I don't know what I'm gonna do maybe for college. I mean, I know both things I want to do involve college and going to college, but there's some things I'm interested in, something that I'm gonna have to take a lot of time and effort to think about. But I mean, as of right now, I don't have a game plan set for that. When it gets closer to maybe my, junior year, my senior year, I would probably have a game plan set for that. But as of right now, I'm just trying to have fun and enjoy my time at school with friends and, have good experiences.
I think that's good. I think now also, do you feel that they give you a lot of options as far as what to do in life? Are they talking to you about things other than just college or potential college programs, or what's the kind of thing that they really drill down on your experience?
I mean, they put out a lot of programs and stuff like that for college stuff, but they just kind of for electives they have auto body and classes like that, but nothing that's oh, this is really gonna set you up if you don't want to do college or something like that. If you say you're not going to college, they get very offended and hurt. being like, oh my God, you're not going to college, you're not going to succeed in life. So that's this type of stuff they come at you with. But there's nothing really that they would not really like this besides sports, of course, that they set you up for the future.
Right, and I don't think that's just your school specifically. I think it's a lot of schools that do that. Have they talked anything about trade schools? Have they given you any other options? Have they talked about like military path, like anything just in general?
With trade schools, there's a few things that they've talked about. Nothing really too hard about trade schools, just a few. And then with the military, they have the JROTC and that path, but they don't really recommend going into the military unless you're part of that program.
Right.
And then they push it on you.
Right, and that's something that Dad was talking about a lot. Is like when he was younger, they were talking a lot about trade schools and learn to trade, learn to work with your hands, learn flooring, learn something like that.
Yeah, no, they don't do any of that.
Yeah, now especially, and I mean we have obviously a decent age difference, but it's also just like a few years. I mean it's a lot less than 5.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how some stuff has changed from when I had graduated high school and was in high school, to also how stuff hasn't changed as far as graduating high school. Now, as far as like finances and stuff, I'm sure, like you said, they really didn't touch on it about that. You have living with me and hear about my stonks, and we talk about it. You're probably more educated than most kids your age about it, or at least most kids without a significant interest in it. What do you know about like anything financial? Does they talk about that? Do they talk about taxes? Is that anything that they really nailed down on you about?
No, they'll talk about literally anything to do with taxes or like stocks or anything. They'll tell you how to pay them. They'll tell you how to. The last time somebody told me how to write a check was 5th grade.
Yeah.
Was the last time they talked about that.
Which you probably won't need that too often.
Yeah, but
I almost guarantee you'll write a check at least some point in your life, because I've already written checks. But very few things. Like you could conceivably go through, I imagine, most of your life and not write a check, but you almost will have to at some point.
Yeah, they don't teach you anything how to pay your taxes or how to do stuff like that. It's something that you kind of learn on your own, and when you get thrown into it, it's kind of like a big, okay,
right,
now what did I do?
Yeah. So, do you happen to have an interest in anything related to that? Finance or health or anything? At your age, you specifically, do you have any interest in anything like that?
Yeah, of course. With sports, it comes with you have to be in a healthy mindset and a healthy, habit of being just mentally well, physically well. So I have interest in working out and being a better person mentally and physically than I could be. And with finances, I want to be more prepared for the future, to know that if I start setting up my plans now, in the future I'd be well off more than most and pretty much everybody that I know or could know in high school.
Right. What about like a job or anything like that? If that's something that you're starting to think about now?
Yeah.
Is that, and where do you think you want to work, as far as, because I know you work a little bit at the restaurant, you bust tables and stuff. So now having at least a little bit of work experience, where is something you think you'd want to work, as far as like a first job or something like that in a high school job?
Family businesses, I think, are the actual best place to work, for the main reason of that they're a family. They're nicer to you usually than more of a corporate place. They're not as hard on you. They're more lenient, and plus they pay better. Yeah, they don't sit there and they're like, oh yeah, here, work 30 hours, here you go. Like a job like Target or like a Walmart or something like that, where it's a corporate type thing. So you have more of a bit of a leniency, and also you get treated well.
Yeah, so less of a like you take your taxes out and do all this and all that.
Yeah, plus most of the time you don't get taxed in a small business like that.
Yeah, because they pay cash.
Yeah, they pay cash.
Yeah, which I mean, for high school kids, it's fair. To a degree, I think you'd want to start building up some income and doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of places they'll be like, oh, hey, it's just some kids. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
Let's see. What is like something now that you are kind of hoping for, as far as like your dreams or your aspirations? And you said your baseball, would you want to manage it, or is that something that you want to like play? What are you thinking?
I mean, there's a few things I would love to do. I would love to play baseball. That would be a great thing. I would love being a part of that world. But if I can't play it, I'd love to either be an announcer. I feel like I'm great at that. I mean, my friends, will play games, and I'll announce the games for them, and they love the way I call games and stuff like that, or manage it, because I think I have some good ideas, putting forward and good effort to it. That I wouldn't play hockey, but I would love to either manage or coach it, because that's another one of my great sports. And then, of course, movie directing, I think, is another one of something I love to do.
How did you get interested in movie directing? Because I know that one's, while a lot of kids like movies, I don't think a lot of them want to go out and direct. So that's something that you find yourself
The reason why I found myself into it is because I watched a lot of movies. I'm like, this is something that's really cool, and I watched behind the scenes of how people made the movies. So like behind the scenes of Shazam or behind the scenes of Aquaman, I watched, and both those I really loved. So I was like, this is really cool, especially seeing how they made superhero movies. I love superheroes and stuff like that. So, and then watching Green Arrow the show, which was one of my favorite shows, and I was like, this is something that is really cool, and this is just a cool world to be a part of. So that's something I would just love to immerse myself in. Is just directing and making those movies and working in that environment.
So do you think you could probably go to school for that, or do you think you would follow something else, or do you think you'd go to college for that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think I think I would go to probably college for that. If I really want to do that, and that's something I have my heart set on, that's what I'm gonna do. 100.
So now having me as somebody who was very vocal about not going to college, at least myself not going to college, and then Dad being someone who started a business and doing trades and stuff, do you feel that influences you more to go to college or less to go to college?
I feel like it influences me just about the same. I feel like you guys don't factor really into what I do. I feel like I'm my own person. I do my own things. I have my own experiences. So if both of you guys not going to college, and it makes me see like, okay, they both succeeded on their own and are successful people without going to college. So it does play kind of a factor of being like, I could do the same thing, but I just don't. I want to do my own thing. Right. Continue with my own path.
So yeah, it doesn't influence you like, oh, I have to do this now, but it gives you the option. Do you think it's more of a comforting option? Like, oh, I know now if I choose this, I'm not terrified to not go to college? Or do you think it's more of a thing like, oh, I see now that they did it, but I still don't care?
I feel like it's more of a comforting thing. Like it's kind of like a fallback plan. Being like, if I set myself up now for it, and my career and aspirations don't do well, or if I don't go down the path I want to go to, I have a fallback plan, and I have something set in mind so I can build off of and continue with that.
Yeah, because then you're like, oh, okay, well that didn't work out. Because I mean, we know, mainly people that I know, some of them haven't gone to college, some of them gone to college and left, some of them completed degrees, so you kind of see it's a full spectrum of everything for it. So, do you think that you would go then? Do you have like an idea of where you'd want to go, or is that something still that they're not really talking about?
Yeah, the people have thrown out names of schools. That's mostly where their family members went, or stuff like that. But I have no clue. I mean, whoever offers me the best chance to succeed in life, if I do go down that route, and if I'm playing baseball and I get an offer from a great college, I'll go there. I mean, with directing, I've picked the best school I can get into for that type of field, and I'm gonna go with it. So that's something that I'll think about when the time comes, when that path comes, and that's probably not a decision I'll make until probably my senior year.
Yeah, probably then or at least your junior year, because you
they'll talk about my junior year.
Yeah.
But
do you think now if you went to direct, what kind of movies would you want to direct? Or shows or whatever.
Superheroes would be my number one thing because I love growing up with that. You and Dad, huge superhero people. Going to see the movies like Dark Knight and Man of Steel. But that or horror movies, because I feel like horror movies now are just kind of like, especially that time period of like the 90s to like the 2010s, was like teenagers in the woods getting killed by these horror characters. And I feel like it's starting to take a change now with, Get Out and those types of movies that are kind of like a little bit mind-numbing, where it's like, what's going on?
Like, yeah.
And it's like crazy type of stuff like that, and that's something I would love to make.
Something a little more on the intellectual side instead of just somebody getting stabbed.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, I mean, you've watched a lot more horror movies than I have. I've never been a big horror movie person. But as far as, like, horror movies, that's something that kind of strayed me away from it, which is like, oh, jump scare, oh, the guy got stabbed, oh, all right, they're dead.
I mean, and like that has a place, and it's definitely, those movies are fun to watch, but not something that's gonna be this big, okay, that was a really good movie type. Like, I don't remember the last time I seen like a horror movie win an Oscar, or like win like Best Picture. I want to be one of the first people. Now I don't know if that's probably happened before, but I want to be one of those people that can say I made a horror movie, a genre that never gets a Best Picture, to win a Best Picture.
Yeah, you really went through and then add that.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that that's something then, like, that award would be a meaningful thing, or do you think the movie itself would be more meaningful to you?
I feel like the movie would be more meaningful because I
Right.
feel like I put a lot of time and heart, and then the award for is just an add-on.
Right. What is something now that you're, like, what is your biggest achievement being such a young age? What is the thing that you have that, like, oh, right now this is my biggest achievement so far?
I would say, just adventuring and doing multiple things. Like, I'm comfortable with doing so much in my life that no matter what I'm doing, I'm happy with it.
So kind of like that, that's something that that you're proud of as a person. What is now something that you have accomplished that you think you're really proud of?
Something that I accomplished, like, continuing for, like, boxing, I think is something I really, did good at, and something I'd be like, I did good, and I really pushed myself on this, and, being, great in that, and that in baseball, I feel like getting into the sport and loving the sport is something that I would count as my biggest accomplishment. I haven't accomplished, life-saving things at this point in my time. I've just been kind of a normal kid, but nothing that I would say, wow, that was a huge thing to happen in my life. At least nothing that can come to the top of my head.
Right. So now, what do you think that you want to do, like, down the line? I know you said directing or either baseball. What do you think? Because I know you have a very strong opinion on where you want to live and what you want to do in places. So what is that kind of thing that what's like the goal that you're going for?
I think a thing that I would love to do with, like, living would be a small town. If that being like a little winter wonderland, like, I forgot the movie.
I can't remember.
You remember?
I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, the Christmas movie. But, that or do, like
Is it Christmas in Little Italy or something like that? No.
No.
No, it wasn't that one.
No, the one we watch every Christmas.
Oh, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Something like that. And I know that's like an actual place in New York. That or
like Seneca Falls.
Yeah, Seneca Falls. And that, or I would love to live in, a small, like, crop area, like Smallville.
Children of the Corn.
Yeah, Children of the Corn.
So do you want to live in just like rural Maine, like fucking what's his face, Stephen King?
No, nothing like that. But I'm saying like Iowa,
come out of your bathroom.
like Iowa, like Field of Dreams type stuff.
Okay.
I would say.
That's funny how you relate that to a baseball game. Field of Dreams. Did you see the game? You see the game?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, before I saw it to the Yankees.
I hated that so much.
Who was your favorite baseball team? This is everybody throw out.
Yankees. 100%.
Favorite hockey team?
Rangers.
Like the Islanders, right?
Nah, I hate you so much. Stop.
So that's good though. If that's something then like you do sports, video games. I know you're really interested in that. Have you ever thought about making video games, or is it more like a movie type thing?
It's more of a movie type thing. I have, kind of joked about the idea of making video games, but I don't know too much about that world. If I would get into that world, I think I would enjoy it, but it's something that I'm not too. I think it's harder. If you get what I'm saying, I think movies you have more of a deadline, and video games is kind of floats out there unless you're like with a big company. So, I mean, it really depends, and plus it's also with video games, I'm just not a huge fan of, I don't think I'm in the world of editing, like making like the games and how it controls and stuff like that. It's not like you go out there and you film guys. You have to actually go into the computer and make the characters do what you want and the games.
A lot more technical too.
Yeah, you can't just be a story writer and you can, but I mean it's not. That's not
the fun part.
Yeah, it's not the fun part.
Yeah, so you sit there, because I know you have very passionate feelings about it, because you beat Batman like 9 times.
Oh my god, yeah.
And you're like, Riddler is ass! This game plays like the ball.
I hate it, because he's just so annoying. He just comes at you with like 250 Riddler trophies. It's like, why? Why do you like this?
How many Riddler trophies do you think is enough Riddler trophies?
I think per game, 120.
Okay, that's
max. I mean, I've done 250 in Arkham Knight. I've done it in Arkham Knight, Asylum, and Origins, and City. So I've done it in every one. I've collected all the trophies.
Right. So now your understanding, it's funny that we're talking about video games, because that's the reason why I got a job as a kid, because like all the PS4 and everything was coming out, and then Dad's like, hey, this is going to be $900 worth of shit that you want to get. You got to like figure something out, because this is like legit, like we get a new video game every fucking month, and you need to like, not, you need to stop. He's like, so either that or you have to pay for it because it's literally like $1,000 worth of shit that you're gonna end up buying. So I was like, all right, I'll get a job. So now at your age, do you understand like the value of a dollar and the dollar what a dollar can buy? What is your like understanding of that as far as like, because I know you worked a little bit at the restaurant at least, and I know you don't currently have a job for it, but you have like a job. You've had a kind of job thing in the past. What is your understanding as far as like the value of a dollar? Like you're like, oh, I know I need to work a day, and then I could buy a video game. Like, what's your understanding of that?
Yeah, I mean, budgeting is definitely a thing that, like, I do spend my money a little bit, there's the money I do have, I do spend on on things I enjoy. But, if I really wanted to, I can save up and budget and stuff like that. And I know the value of, okay, this game is going to be $60. I know how long I need to save up for it. I know how much the $60 can bring me, how far it can take me.
Right.
So I feel like at this point in my life, I know how money is and how it works. So just moving on with that, I just continuing with how, what you say with how well do you know money, basically.
Yeah.
I know it pretty decently well to the point where, okay, this $60 can pay for me back and forth like a bus ride. So
yeah, so you understand it's just like, oh, this game's like $60. Okay, that's a day's worth of pay.
Yeah.
Or oh, hey, I want to go buy a new console. That's $500. It's not like, oh, that grows on trees. At this point you're pretty well, or at least somewhat well versed for someone your age who understands. Okay, this is how this works. So I know also like you mentioned your boxing stuff. And I know you've been working out. You've been in your boxing training and all that. What was your goal for that? Like, what did you think of boxers as far as like athletic shape? What was your goal doing that and getting into that?
I mean, I first got interested in boxing with the KSI and Logan Paul stuff, and I said,
who are you for?
KSI, 100%. Logan Paul's cool now though.
Yeah, now
his brother, he's not really. I mean, I think we all know how people feel about him.
I mean, yeah.
But like with boxing, it's something that I just liked. I was like, this is really cool. And I didn't realize the amount of sacrifice and effort you need to put into it. And for my boxing stuff, I didn't do that, to put that much sacrifice and effort, because you need to eat really healthy. You need to put hours upon hours in the gym. You need to run. Like, to be actually really good at the sport, you could be, like, I played boxing. You can't play boxing. That's something you can do. People have heard that 1,000 times and be like, oh, yeah. But when you actually do it, you cannot play boxing. You have to actually put your time and effort into it. And you have guys like Tyson Fury who are 6'9" and weigh 280 pounds. He's kind of a chubby guy. But I mean, like Tyson Fury said, it's based off skill. Like, he can eat whatever, but that's Tyson Fury. I mean, most guys usually get ripped and stuff like that, and that's most dudes. Most guys don't just rely straight up on talent, they rely on their health too. But, I mean, that's something that I realized, and if I did it again, because I'm kind of done with that right now, if I did it again, I would have to really, really try. And it's something I don't really want to push too hard in for something I care about, but not to care about more than baseball or directing or other things.
Right, it takes away a lot. And that's something like we talked about on the last podcast episode, and how I talked about a lot is like, anything you do that's kind of like off the beaten path, you gotta have a lot of passion for, especially boxing, so then you do a boxing match with your friends, or you spar, or whatever you're doing with it. You have to give a lot of time and effort, and you have to have a passion for it, because if you don't have a passion for it, it's so tough, you're just gonna be like, yeah, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
That's like even the same thing with like college and a lot of stuff like, with working a general job for me. It takes a lot of effort to do that consistently all the time. So when you don't, that's something that I'm glad you kind of learned that now in life. A lot of people don't learn it till later. Is that if you're gonna fucking hate something, chances are you're just gonna be like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, and you're gonna give up on it. So in order to do something like really good, like it's good to have a passion for baseball or directing and stuff. If it's something that you really wanted to do in life, either or, and something that you truly pursued, then you'd get a lot farther, I would imagine, than somebody who's just like, yeah, it's cool, I kind of want to do it. As long, again, as it's something you're passionate about and you're willing to put forward.
Yeah. And I don't want, I kind of, with boxing, I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it to the point where it's like, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to sit there and put 7 hours into the gym every day. I'm not going to get into a six-pack shape. I'm going to enjoy the food I eat, and I'm going to enjoy the stuff like that. I'm not going to sit there and get, ripped for this. Even though, it puts you in a better health and mental health. But it's not something that I care about too much. Now in baseball, I want to be in a good shape, but not to like a boxing shape where it's like, oh, shredded 6-pack. I cut 30 pounds, 40 pounds for this, and that's not something I really want to do because it's just too much of a thing for something I mediocrely care about.
Right. It's more of a hobby.
Yeah.
So now, and then what do you think, based on your unprofessional teenage opinion, what do you think the difference between a boxer shape and a baseball player shape?
I've seen baseball players with like ripped 6-packs, but I mean, baseball players, you go out there for 162 games. You're not gonna play probably all of the games. You're probably if you're a healthy person, you're gonna play a decent amount of the games. But you want to be more athletic in the way of my hamstrings are good. I'm good at stretching.
Hammies.
Yeah, my hammies are good. And like you could be fat and play baseball. Like look at some players like.
Can you?
Yeah, you like I don't know if you ever seen Bartolo Colon, nicknamed Big Sexy. Him.
Is he big and sexy?
Yes. And then you have Pablo Sandoval and those guys who are great players, not really great anymore because of their age. But I mean, age kills you no matter what sport. Unless it's like golf. But
like golf, the older you get, the better you get.
Yeah, really. Because it's just with age. With baseball, I mean, you could be a chubby guy and still play. Now you have to be athletic to play, and realize. And I think hitting a baseball is the hardest thing you can do in a sport because 99 miles an hour you're trying to hit. 70 curving ball that breaks to a foot off the plate is something that's gonna be like whoa. It's like wiffle ball type stuff. How much the ball curves. And boxing, I feel like the sport itself is harder. Maybe not like MMA type level, but you're constantly there for at least 3 minutes a round, depending on what kind of fight, and 12 rounds. And just constant pain, getting punched in the face, 100 punches per round. And you're throwing maybe over 1,000 punches, depending on what kind of fighter you are, per fight.
Right. So do you think it's easier to be fat or say less athletic, at least, in baseball than it is in boxing? Do you think it would be easier?
100%.
See, I would think it would be the other way around, because you mentioned someone like Tyson Fury, who, they're a little bigger. I've never seen somebody who's really, like, that big play baseball, because you're moving a lot quicker and a lot faster. I know it's the stamina thing, but what do you think?
I mean, in boxing, like, Tyson Fury, he put a lot of skill. He has so much skill, because if he was just a chubby dude, with not the skill that he has.
It's a lot of hard work and effort that he gets
He has put so much work and effort, and that's why he's one of the best boxers in the world currently. Arguably the best heavyweight in boxing right now. And I feel like in baseball you can take kind of a load off, and then you can still be athletic and be able to hit the ball. But if you're chubby, you're going to play DH, which is just hitting the ball, or first base, which is kind of just sitting there and you're scooping the ball, catching. I'm making it sound like a lot easier than it is, but it's a hard position. But I think boxing is way harder as a sport, while hitting a ball is the hardest thing you can do.
What do you think so say physically, what do you think the toughest sport to do is?
Physically, like taxing on your body?
Yeah.
Either boxing or MMA.
Right, because you get a lot of beats and hits.
Yeah.
So what do you think just as far as general, like as far as skill wise, as far as everything, like to play and be good, because you're like my sports guy. You watch like every baseball and boxing match and everything known to man. So what do you think that it's the hardest thing to be also good at, not just kind of play?
I mean, I don't think baseball is the hardest sport to play. I mean, I feel like the hitting of baseball, like I said, is the hardest thing to do. But like I think it goes back to MMA and boxing, because you're doing so many, like in MMA you're doing so many fighting styles, and you're in UFC you're doing so many fighting styles. You're doing wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing. You're doing so many fighting styles, and people have different setups, different fighting styles, and anything really goes in MMA. There's only very few rules. And boxing's a little bit easier because you're just, punching and stuff like that. But it's footwork and so much effort. Now, some fighters don't fight. They only fight twice a year. Unless you have guys like Canelo Alvarez, who are one of the best in the world, and who fight, 5 times a year. But those 5 fights usually last, depending on who your opponent is, 8 rounds at least.
Right.
And you're just sitting there, continue going blow for blow, getting big shots. And as you get good and as you get older, you're gonna be better with age. But I mean, you're gonna with that point, I feel like boxing is the most, and boxing, UFC, and MMA is the most skilled and taxing sport on you. Even though, like, baseball is done.
And they make a lot of money doing it too. Like,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Especially Money Mayweather for a reason. I mean, man's made how much? I think $100 million off the Logan Paul fight.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Logan Paul.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's $100 million.
Was that the most that any boxer ever made from a fight?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
I don't know. I feel like McGregor versus Mayweather was more money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was more money, but
it was It was also two big fighters.
Yeah, they're two big guys in two different sports.
Right. Now, which was coming up? I know Tyson Fury and who else is it?
Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder.
That's gonna be a good fight.
And do you think that one has how much more each one of them making about average? Or what do you think?
I mean, it's based on pay-per-view buys. I mean, you can get 50-50 split. So if you get 100 million pay-per-view buy, it means if you make $100 million, one's getting 50 and the other one's getting 50.
And the other one makes 50.
Yeah, so it's based on pay-per-view buys. But I mean, I feel like that fight will break 100 million. I mean, every fight will probably break a decent amount of buys. I feel like that'll get to at least I don't know what I can't really remember what the best amount of pay-per-view buys is. But I mean, they'll get to a pretty high.
They'll get to a pretty high.
Yeah.
What do you think now? Part of directing, do you want to get into it for the money? You think, or is it just mainly
for fun?
For the fun, just something you enjoy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does make good money that in sports as well. Now, you want to be more of a sports manager, or just have somebody who plays?
I mean, it's kind of close. I mean, most people think would be like, oh, I want to play this sport. But I've seen some decisions, especially by my own team, that they've made that I'm like, there's no way. I need to be in that person's boots to see the decisions they make because I feel like it's so simple. And the decisions I like, I feel a lot of people agree with me on like being in the comments of like Instagram posts being like, what was this? And I feel like a lot of people agree being like, what was that decision you made? And I feel like I could make better decisions and stuff like that. But who knows? I mean, anything can happen in a sports game where it's like, oh my God, quick, it's in the moment type stuff.
Right, and it's easy for everybody sitting at home
watching
on the team.
Yeah.
Oh, they should have done that. Yeah, of course, yeah. But
like at the Field of Dreams game, they shouldn't have put in Zeppelin.
Yeah, but it's also easy for them to be like, oh, hey, I'm sitting at home on the couch, I get 9 different angles of it.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to make that call. Do you have any questions for me, or anything that you would want to know as far as just like the things that I do, or anything like that from a young person? What is something that you would want to know?
I mean, like, how do you invest in good stocks? I think would be a fair question.
Right. So something that I know that I pick at least from, which is I would imagine is like the big thing that a lot of people get into is just like, well, I don't know what to do. I think a lot of it is, and I talk about it in the book, is depending on which you have an interest in, as far as risk level and what you want to do as far as return. Like I know a lot of people do, I'll just put money in and then retire. You then want something that's going to be drastically different for, I want something that's going to make a lot of money that I can therefore live off of this portfolio. So I think it depends on what you want to nail down, and then that can kind of like set you up. Something I always say at least is, and I know Warren Buffett talks about it and everything, it's hard to pick in particular stocks. We use what's called the value investing method, but it's hard to pick individual stocks. And the best thing for just a general person to do is like an S&P 500, which is like an index fund. That would be like the thing to look up, be like S&P 500, and find reputable companies that have an index fund for that. And it's basically then you just buy a single share of that. It invests all that money into 500 different companies, the top 5 in the U.S., and then that grows. And then that would pay you dividends, that would pay you interest, whatever it pays for it. Like I know like Vanguard has one, a couple of different companies have one. And that would then grow slowly but decently over the course of a few years. That would be like the best general idea for someone, in my, kind of opinion and from what I've seen, would be the best kind of, personal thing that I feel. But yeah, I think it all depends on risk level. Like you can just go and just throw money into fucking AMC and be like, woo, we're going to the moon.
Yeah.
But it depends.
Macy's.
Well, JCPenney and all of them are going to business.
Oh, gosh.
I don't think retail like that is going to stay too long in department stores.
Jeffrey Bezos
and Amazon. That's good.
Yeah.
Amazon. But I think that's also part of it. Is I know, like something like a lot of people your age are just like, oh, people who
Oh.
have a lot of money and a lot of stuff like that, they also don't understand as far as, at least certain aspects. I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's a value that things bring. So say like something like a retail store, like a department store. The reason why Sears went out of business is when's the last time you went to Sears?
Yeah.
You don't want to go to Sears anymore. Like a lot of the older generation who grew up on that want to, but now the people who become consumers want something completely different. They're like, fuck that, I don't want to go to the store and pick from 3 different options, of which I know nothing about and may not even like. I would rather go online and within 5 seconds know everything about this product, see 1,800 reviews, get the average of the review, all that data, and then get something for cheaper. And I know then if it doesn't work, I don't have to drive all the way back. I can throw it in a box, somebody comes picks it up, and I get my money back fucking same day. He brings a lot of value by creating something like Amazon, which I don't know if you knew this, started by just selling books.
Yeah, I knew that.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, somebody talked to it was like 99 or something, like 2000.
1990s.
Oh, like somebody talked to me. He's like, so what do you do for a living? And he's like, oh yeah, I have Amazon, sell books.
Yeah,
and now he's a multi-billion, like what was he, like the third richest man?
Second now, I
Second,
think.
because Elon took first.
That's like some $100 billion or something.
Yeah,
like
I think something my generation and people don't understand about money is that they say, oh, rich people hate them because they're rich. They could do so much with their money in the world. Where it's like, I've heard people say Jeffrey Bezos can take out all of his money and solve world hunger. I'm like, I don't think you know how money works. You can't just take out his net worth.
Yeah, it's a lot of inflation.
That's not.
There's a lot of legal stuff.
And that's why I feel like on something like that, you have to learn about it before you speak, because it's like you're making a blanketed claim. Now you can comment on how you feel about the guy being like, oh, he doesn't pay his workers or whatever. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, you could say all that about what we want, but saying, oh, I hate rich people because they're rich, I mean, it's kind of a statement.
Very general statement.
Yeah, it's kind of a very general statement that you can't really back up.
Like the Barstool Sports guy did, Portnoy.
Yeah, the people. Well, I mean, like if you could be like, oh yeah, he's a douche.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can make that claim. I find him funny, but I mean, you can.
I do too.
Yeah, you can find him funny, but I mean, some of the things he says, you could find out of pocket. But you could say like, but just because he's a rich guy and he has money, be like, oh, why couldn't he put that to this? I mean, it's his money. You could kind of do what he wants.
I feel, especially as like now knowing about money, I feel like in general there's a social responsibility. Like I don't think you have to do something, but I feel as somebody who brings value. Like I know like Elon Musk and Amazon, they're people who they didn't get rich for the sake of getting rich. They brought great value to people. They're like, oh, we're gonna go to fucking Mars and create a multi-planet society. Oh, we're gonna change the way people shop and buy things and the way the internet works. Forever.
And people talk about like, oh, why does Bezos's employers don't get like they should be getting paid more than he does because he just doesn't do anything. I'm like, well, he made the company. The whole thing wouldn't be there if it wasn't for him.
Yeah,
like his idea.
And I definitely think that the employees definitely have an important role.
But I mean, saying that they should get paid more than him. I mean, that's kind of. I mean, that's kind of like, oh, you don't know how businesses work.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like, I mean, I think there's a great way to look at it is without the idea and without the action to do it. Because think of realistically, anybody can go create another Amazon. It seems kind of out there, but anybody can say, I have a really great idea on how to help people, and then go out there and try and build it. Now, in practice, at least on paper, that's an easy thing to do. In practice, that is extraordinarily hard. Because 1, if you don't have a passion for it, you're not going to do it. 2, if the idea sucks, it's not going to work. 3, if you don't find a way to build money and do this and that. If you don't do it right, and you don't work hard, and you don't figure it out, you don't make the right connections, and you don't do all that, the business isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's also to then just be a good business. I could think of a million good businesses, but nothing that ever changed the world like Amazon has.
Yeah.
Amazon has fundamentally changed the way.
Or Tesla, where it's like, cars that drive themselves.
Yeah.
Now you have like people are trying to do that, but nothing on a global scale
and nothing
like Tesla.
From what I've heard, at least, like I know people who have some of the self-driving cars that aren't Teslas. It's nowhere near like they'll be like, oh yeah, it stays in the lane.
Yeah.
It doesn't turn its fucking wheel itself and drive.
It doesn't drive to you to pick you up.
I don't press a button and then it does everything I would do. But Tesla's to that point it does that. And then also, batteries and then SpaceX. The boring company, I know he tried to do the shit with the tunnels. I don't know how that all worked or that's going to work out. But I know it brings value. And the same thing with like Warren Buffett, who brings financial value. People can invest in his company and then put money in like a retirement. And it's a good stock. It goes up. And then guess what? Now that's the retirement fund. A lot of people, he should be compensated heavily because he was smart with that. He did what few people could. And yeah, it's not a labor-intensive thing, but it's an idea-intensive thing, is what it does. It's very mentally intensive. I have to put everything together. You have to essentially host the party. Okay, I didn't bring the beer. I didn't book the room.
I'm running the whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't bring the beer. I didn't make the fucking cake. I didn't do any of that. Yeah, the employees should be compensated heavily for that. But the person who organized the party and was the host and said, oh, hey, guess what? I booked the hotel room. I got everybody's money pooled together. I called the guy to do that. That's not going to happen either without that person, and who also then created the idea.
Yeah, I feel like before you make a claim like that, being like, oh, rich people should do this with their money. I mean, learn how their financials work. Learn how stocks work. Learn how how money is.
Yeah.
Like, people who make claims like that, you can make how you feel about a person, their personality. That's fine. I'm not gonna judge them on that. But with their money wise, you have to when you make a claim like that, you usually do not know how finances work.
So, or at least that kind of financial.
That kind of financial stuff. I mean, that's why, and it's just kind of like a blanket like opening claim. It's just like something that you were like, okay, I'm gonna say this. Hopefully, it sticks.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem is, and like we talked about here, not everybody is financially taught. I think there's a lot of issues.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's full blame on them, because it's like, oh yeah, you should be able to like learn it. But I mean, if you have a thing or know where to learn it, I mean, you're not gonna know it.
I think that's a big issue.
Yeah.
Like at high school, they don't teach you. Or
they don't teach you anything like that.
Because I think fundamentally you're taught to be an employee and get a good job and work for somebody.
Plus, most of them don't know it themselves. How they can teach it if they don't know it?
I mean, unless you go to an Ivy League school where the person is also very successful in business and finance and stuff. I mean, it's not gonna. It teaches to get a degree. You listen to them, you know the information, you get a degree, you call it a day. You're not going to change the world.
Yeah.
By doing something.
They're not going to teach you how to sit home and make money based off an idea. They're not going to teach you that in high school.
And some, like I know Dad talked about it. He said it's practical in his sense. Like he viewed it as practical. A lot of people don't view starting a business or working like that as practical because of how risky and tough it is to do that. Like I mean, here now, like okay, I quit my job. And luckily, I'm still young. I'm still at home. I have some support network that a lot of other people don't have. But at the end of the day, you're still taking a huge risk because what if things then don't work out?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm a big fan of learning from failure, and I'm free to fail, and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, like no regrets in the things that you do.
I don't. Yeah, I learned from all my failures, and everything came crashing down, and I decided this was the worst decision I ever made in my life. I would have been happier doing it than not taking a risk.
And you can just pass that wisdom down to other people that, who would also maybe be in like, oh, I'm in the same situation as this person. What did I do?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't get taught any financial information or have a very slim understanding of it. So I think therefore, that, and I think also the way it's expressed, like, oh, this person doesn't do anything and they get money.
Yeah.
When you're taught to, oh, you work hard, you get a lot of money.
Yeah, I think it's based off. They're based off the things they've learned.
Yeah.
And not actually doing the learning themselves and being like, okay, I
need. What was given and
what was given to them, and not being like, okay, I need to see what actually this is about. Because if you dig deeper into it, you understand it, and you could still have that idea in your head, but you would understand it more.
Yeah, I think less people would be upset about a lot of financial stuff if everybody was as educated as everybody else.
Yeah.
Like I definitely think like whatever your opinion is on it, if you feel the rich should do this, the rich should feel that, that's your opinion, how you feel. That's cool. But I think that if in order to feel very strongly about something, you also need to have
knowledge on it.
If you're going to make an argument about it at least.
Yeah.
Or you also want to say, hey, I feel very strongly about this, but I realize I don't know much about it. Let me go educate myself and understand why I feel this way. How do I change it? How do I make an effect?
And also not getting mad at people who differ from what you say about that world. Being like in the financial world, being like, oh, well, no, I believe this. being like, well, because I understand how this financial thing works, and getting mad at that person. And it's like, well, you have to take their opinion into consideration. Now, you have to listen to what they say, but I mean, looking into it more, and then understanding where they're coming from.
Yeah, I think a good thing is if people have differing opinions, that is 100% okay.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Okay, somebody believes in something, somebody believes in something else. You guys different opinion. It is what it is. But if your opinion is accepted and respected, so is the other person's. So everybody's opinion should be equal. Okay, I have information, maybe you don't, maybe we both have information.
Yeah, and to think that every opinion that you have about being like, oh no, Jeff Bezos is, what is it? He just sits there and does nothing.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett sucks.
Color green is the best color.
Yeah.
Whatever your opinion on something
and that's just like, if you believe everything you think is right, then you kind of gotta get out of your own little bubble.
Yeah.
And being like, come on.
I think it's good to seek out different opinions too. Like, I definitely look up stuff all the time that trashes things of finances. I always see the stuff that makes fun of financial and fitness gurus. I always see the stuff that's like this, because it also then helps you tailor yourself into, oh, hey, this is a big problem that a lot of people in this field do.
Yeah, it makes you better.
My belief on it. And then you learn, I think you should be in a bubble. And I did a video on it, was just like, hey, I didn't think I liked GQ magazine because I thought it was all fashion and this and that. And I didn't think I would be into it. And then I read it and I'm like, oh, it talked about movies too. It talks about fashion, but not in the, oh, look what this person's wearing kind of way. And it's like, oh, hey, this company started this fashion brand, and here's how they started, and here's what they're about, and then such and such model. And then this rapper wears this brand because he was poor and he wanted a t-shirt, and his mom couldn't afford it, so now he goes, now I can afford the t-shirt whenever I want. And it's just like, oh shit, I never thought of it this way. You get out of your own mind and you explore and find new ideas.
And that's one thing I like about, your channel and your book and stuff like that, is that you combine two different worlds that you've been through. Like, you spent your money a lot when you were younger. You were a little bit, you were out of shape. You were, you were a little chub boy.
I know you want to say it.
But you had back issues and stuff like that, and you're like, if I do not, I am broke, I'm fat, and this is not a way that I want to live. And then you said, I'm doing this, and you really worked hard to lose that weight and get in a better mind of financially what to do. And then making the book, was probably was one of the greatest ideas you had about. And then plus now you can say it being like, oh, I'm a published author.
Yeah, a lot of people are blown away every time I tell them that.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh my god! Like, now at this point, I was like very excited about it, but also like everybody is very, oh my god, you wrote a book, and I'm just, I wrote a book, and it's like very, it's a part of me now. It's not like, oh yeah, I wrote this book, ooh wow. It's just like, oh yeah, I wrote a book, and they're like, wait, what? You wrote a book? And I'm like, I used to be fat.
And it talks about two different things. So if you ever need, buy his book. If you ever need any help with weights or financial with financial issues, you have it in one thing.
Yeah.
So it also cost effective too, being like, oh, instead of buying a weight book that tells me how to lose weight and a finance book to tell me how to do my finances, you have two different things.
Right.
So it's two different worlds about somebody who's been in both worlds and now in two new worlds combined into one thing. And that's why I think your book is a great thing, is because you have that variety of two different things put together.
Right.
And it's great. It's awesome.
And that's something I think, and I think it's good that you learn it from your early age too, is that once you can control one aspect of your life, you can control all the other aspects. So like, say now, okay, and this is something I didn't realize a lot of people didn't talk about, is I connected the dots on, oh, if I do the same stuff what I did with my weight, I can do that with my finances. It works out. Mm-hmm. Like, you're like, okay, don't spend money on stupid shit you don't need. Don't eat stupid shit that's not going to give you value. Learn about health and how to be better. Learn about money and how to be better. Applying the same kind of values, and that's with anything, relationships, cars. That's how I approach anything now, is I'm going to go in just with a really great mindset. I'm going to learn everything I can, figure it out, learn from failure, and work hard at it. And then shit gets real good real quick.
And it's definitely easier said than done, being like, I want to lose weight.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And 100% being like, I'm going to put this positive mindset to everything I do in my life. It's a lot, being like, oh,
it's tough.
It's tough, but you have to realize, if I really want this done, I have to put my willpower to it.
Yeah.
Okay, if you
it's
really...
tough initially to get...
Yeah.
Like now it's the easiest thing. Like, everybody's like, I don't know how you can...
Yeah, because you've done it so many times.
Yeah.
Now
it's a part of it.
Yeah, it's a part. It's into your mind to the point where it's like it's built into you.
Yeah, it is who I am now at this point. It is such a positive mindset kind of thing. Like, people are just like, oh, what about this? I'm just like, can I affect this problem? No. Is it something that's definitely going to happen to me? Why? Like, I would be anxious about stuff. What if this happens? What if that happens?
And you say that to me when I lose sports, when the Yankees or somebody lose a baseball game. Like, did you have an effect on the outcome?
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm still mad. But
Yeah. All right, it's like you'll get very angry about it. I'm like, does it affect you personally? No. Like, does it? Did you somehow have an effect on that outcome? No. Okay, so then, like, you could be obviously upset at your team didn't win. You know, it is what it is. But it's just like, for it to say ruin, like, if like somebody went out and was like, this fucking ruined my whole day now. This is horrible. It's just like, why?
Yeah.
There's zero reason. Well, like something, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? Or what if somebody comes over and says something?
Yeah, just like very paranoid.
Who gives a fuck?
Who cares? Just and plus it's also like you have to be like if that thing that you're worried about happens, relax, come out with a positive mindset and think, and just go with it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go your way, you learn, you move on, and you continue.
Yeah, I think it's good to have a plan. So like say, what if this bad thing happens? I have a plan, but to get yourself upset or worried about it, I think it's the stupidest.
And for something that might like if you don't know 100% if it's gonna happen or not, and you're getting worried about it, and it doesn't happen, then you did all that worrying for nothing.
Yeah, like if you're like, if you're driving and your gas light comes on, you're like, oh my god, what if I can't get to a gas station in time? You should have a plan. Okay, if I stuck, I should do this, blah blah blah. I know I need to do all this stuff, but then sit there and be like, oh my god.
And then if that does happen, then you don't have a plan because you sat there worrying the entire time.
Yeah, really. It's just,
so it's a lose-lose either way.
What is that going to do? They said that like stressing out about something in the future is, and then if it does happen, is living through it twice.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck is that? What is the point of that? And the same thing like say you get in an argument with somebody, like somebody cuts you off in traffic. You know that you're gonna start learning to drive and do all that stuff. Never get angry at somebody in traffic. Okay, you could sit there and be like, yeah, fuck that guy. All right, yeah, fuck you, pal. And just whatever it is. Don't get angry about it. Like, there are some people who take up road rage, will get upset, or it ruins their whole fucking day. Who cares? Somebody was an asshole. Mm-hmm. Okay? People are assholes sometimes. Fuck them. Fuck that guy. You know? Wish him the best. Hope he learns not to be an asshole one day. And that's it. And you move on with your life. And you keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know? That's the important thing. Is people are worried about everybody else or their opinion, or I feel I'm the most important person in the world. Just do your shit.
Yeah. Just continue.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm passionate about. I do my thing.
And plus, if you don't give those people...
I'm not hurting anybody. You know, just do what you do.
If you don't give those people power, then they get angry at themselves because they're like, I'm not getting power from this person. They're not getting mad at me for this, and it's just like, okay, yeah, then I'm winning, and they're just getting mad at themselves.
It's not even that. I think it's just that, like, I'm not like they said, like, somebody so and so said this to me, so I had to do this. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You have to punch the person in the face because they said something.
Yeah.
You'll be like, all right, well, fuck that guy, and walk away.
And walk away, yeah.
That's it. If somebody's trapping you or something, then you gotta punch them in the face or whatever, get out of there, you know. But if somebody's just saying something to you, it's just,
if somebody makes a comment or something, it's like,
okay,
cool one.
You don't let them, because nobody has effect on you. You're the only person who controls your feelings.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, somebody called you a dick, you're just like, oh, well, all right,
cool.
All right, cool, fuck you, pal. And you just walk away. There's no reason to be like, oh, now I'm angry. You know, it's just like they say, it's just like, there's 24 hours, say you had $24, you know, and somebody took, 10 cents from you. Are you going to spend the rest of your $24 being upset about the fucking 10 cents?
Yeah.
So if you have 24 hours in a day and somebody takes fucking 10 minutes away with your time screaming and yelling, are you going to spend the rest of your day being upset at that person?
Yeah.
That kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, which is just,
stupid.
It's a waste.
Yeah, I have 60 minutes in a day, somebody pisses me off 60 minutes in an hour. Somebody pisses me off for 1 minute. I'm going to spend the next 59 being upset with the fuck.
Yeah, I'm going to spend that time doing something better.
Yeah, okay, I move on. Well, that sucks, you know. I learned from a failure or something. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe I cut somebody off. Maybe something happened. I learned to stay out of that situation or what happens. I get better, and then that's it. You fucking move on with your life.
Yeah.
So, I think that's an important thing to do.
100%.
All right, well, I think we covered everything. I think we got into it. I think we had a good conversation about it. Learned a lot about, we talked about kind of from someone from, like, your youth point of view. And kind of figuring out, what you want to do and all that stuff. I think it's very interesting to see someone who's now in high school and who's going through the high school system, especially now post-COVID.
Yeah.
Or not post-COVID, well, during COVID, but post-lockdown. What do you think that has changed from COVID? What do you think that there was the big change from that?
I feel like, like you have a lot more technological options to do things now.
Right.
And also that people are getting back into mingling with each other now. Like, a lot of people lost that how to talk to people type thing.
Right.
So now people are trying to build connections. I find it
friends.
cool. Yeah, I find it cool, watching people trying to build up confidence to talk to that person or see that person again. So I feel like that's a big thing that it's affected the world, and it's interesting. It's interesting to see how people operate and how people work, and it's just a very something that I don't really have too much of a problem with, but something that it's not like nice, and also kind of being like, wow, it's interesting being like how people get back to themselves.
Right. And do you think that's going to affect now, like, your schooling throughout the rest of your life? Do you think that's going to affect college? Do you think that's going to affect what you do?
I think at some point it's going to die off, like give it like another year or so, once COVID is like gone, which is I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't think anybody really knows yet. But, I mean, however long that's going to take, and then give it a year or two, and then it's going to be back to normal.
Yeah. Do you think, I'm saying as far as like the technological stuff?
I think it's only going to continue to get better.
Yeah?
Oh, I think it's definitely going to continue to get better, 100%.
So, like any online schooling and stuff, you think that's all going to get better?
Yeah, because now kids, which sucks, because now kids can't be like, oh, I wasn't here, what did I do for work?
Yeah.
And it's like, nope, it's on this thing, it's on this app now. Yeah, it's like, oh, damn.
I think it'd be good then to lose track of downtime. Like, say, oh, something happened, you're sick. You now have the option to get all that information when you're not sick, instead of having to go to each teacher and do it.
Yeah, and just, talk.
You just be like, oh, I feel better now.
Let me go look at this.
Yeah, let me download all my shit and do it.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty
So
good.
I feel like that's great.
Good. Excellent. I think it was a very great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed talking to you. I hope to have you back on at some point.
Yeah. I feel like for having you as my brother and having already have financial advice, is great. But from a person without that advice, I think you would hear something very, different.
Right.
So I think that's something that you have to, that you'll see in the future with people. And that's why you have this and the whole YouTube and the book being, you only teach people how to, they're interested, be interested in it.
And that's the goal, is that, like I said, I think once you understand finances and health or anything like that kind of way I approach things, I think once people understand it, I mean, they don't necessarily have to adopt it. I feel it is the best way. That's why I do it. But I think once people understand or have that information, they're able to better themselves or make better decisions with stuff. Like, oh, hey, the way I've been doing things may or may not be the best way for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bajillion other options to do shit. Maybe now I can approach my finances differently.
Yeah.
Maybe now I can approach my health differently. And then hopefully get better. Because that's my goal, is to help people. So hopefully this goes out and then it helps. The idea, there's a million ways it can help people. Hopefully this is one of them, is by educating them. And they go, oh, I don't have to be upset about money. I don't have to live unhealthily. I can now do something about it. So that's the goal, at least.
Yeah.
Yep. But I thank you for coming on. I hope everybody liked this podcast. If you guys want to have any questions for Chris, be sure to let me know, and I'll be sure to ask him. Maybe post an update video or talk about it if anybody has any questions. I hope everybody will make sure they like, comment, and subscribe, and we shall see you all next time.